Matt here, and welcome to another episode of Bricking It. This kind of ties into episode 3 in a way, in that one of the models that's going to be on this video is actually kind of a breakup and then rebuild of what was in number 3, which was the Suburban tank engine. So this episode is actually about 2 models rather than just the one. The reason for that being is that they fit together. They weren't necessarily designed together because they were designed separately, but they are together in the sense that they were designed together to form a complete train, and that was why they were designed effectively, is to make a complete train. And the thing is that the coaches part of it can go with anything effectively, so it's just sort of a nice little sort of knock-on effect, if you like, of that. So what am I talking about? Well, simply we're talking about a 460 Reading Camelback locomotive and some commuter Suburban coaches. So why would you want to talk about that? Well, it's quite simple really. The Suburban tank engine, for all intents and purposes, was a nice model. It's still in unfortunately, it's not complete, and I had an incident with it, and it's broken up and in pieces in a little box. But I've used the digital design version of the Suburban tank and broken it up and built the Reading Camelback out of it. And the reason why I've gone for a Reading Camelback is that I think they're quite nice machines. There was a documentary or some video on YouTube I watched, and it got some film footage of them, black and white. It's not colour, because it was before colour was common enough for train fans to get hold of it. But it was black and white. It's some very nice footage. I think it was of an excursion the Reading offered at some point, but it was a very nice sort of homage to them. They're very nice machines in my eyes, very balanced in terms of aesthetics, and there's something that's not really modelled in any sort of scale, let alone Lego. I think there's been a few people who've done camelbacks in Lego, but I wouldn't necessarily think that somebody's done a 460 camelback. I know somebody on Eurobix recently did an 040, which looks to have been a freelance design. But I don't think anybody's actually done a Reading 460 camelback. So you've seen it here first if you've not seen it anywhere else. So yay. And the coaches kind of fit in with that. The coaches, I'm actually going to do this in the inverse, if you like, of what you'd normally expect, because I'm actually going to show them off now. So this is the main coach. This is your standard coach. As you can see, we've only got one bogie. There's no underframe detail. We've got bits missing from the roof. There's no interior to this as well, if really, just a few bits and pieces. This is the toilet side from that side. And yeah, it's a reasonable model. Several pieces missing, as you can no doubt tell. And I just can't wait to get this finished. It's going to be a nice model. But you can't have just one coach in a passenger train. You've really got to have at least 2. So this is the combine I'm building. As you can see, it's not the right colours. There's lots of lime green and sand green. And the tiles on the roof bit aren't correct, and it's missing this roof bit and missing that bit and this bit and that bit, and bits missing everywhere. But it's an initial blockhead. It means I can get most of it sort of down, if you like, and I can work out what I need after this. So it's a nice if you like, attempt to see what I need, and I need a lot. So it's going to be a time of essentially just going through what I've got and rebuilding this, and ordering a load of pieces as well, especially the 1x1s, because they're quite blaringly wrong. But yeah, it's this is also the second roof, if you like. So But that's really enough of me blabbing. It's time to have a look at the digital models. This has been extensively designed to use the power functions rechargeable battery box, which is here in the tender. It uses roller bearings in the trucks for the tender, roller bearings in the trucks for the loco, although it's not represented on this model. And we've got the rather suitably curved cab roof, which was a bit of a pain to do, so I'm quite pleased with that. And we've also got the rear cab for the stoker or fireman, and there's space in the cab. I would say that there is enough space in there for a PFX brick, and then obviously you can fit a speaker in the rear of the firebox or somewhere like that, so that sound can come out. Obviously this is not a real 3D model, this is a LDD model, and nonetheless it conveys most of the gravitas of the real thing. It has most of the features I wanted to include. Surprisingly enough, it's been a bit hard to get some accurate photos of certain bits of these locomotives, and Google hasn't been helping with some of the search results. Bing hasn't been much better either. So it's quite a big chunky model. There's a few bits missing on here compared to how it will be in the physical real form. Obviously, we're missing the connecting rods and valve gear if we get around to doing it. We're missing some of the handrails at the front, which is why you've got the pips here. You also got a cable here, and that's actually for a second one from the battery. So it's a sort of a pair, so you have to have one which is floating about effectively. The mechanism for this is actually using a very similar setup to the Suburban tank, with a few changes obviously because it's not the tank engine, and that's in fact a good portion of this loco was actually just effectively the way the Camelback was made was the tank loco was copied, was sort of a copy was made, and then the copy was ripped apart and then it was rebuilt into this. So it's just had several lots of hours on it. Most of it's actually gone into the tender and getting the tender into the right form. And one thing I will say about the tender is that there's this very opportune gap here for a cover plate, if you like. This is actually, because this is a rechargeable box, the plate that fits here with the imitation coal load will actually have the will cover the recharging port and the on-off switch as well, so that will just neatly cover that up in this imitation coal load here. It's not perfect, but it covers most of it up. It kind of makes it look a bit more realistic, and it just looks okay. If I do go for a PFX brick, it also means I can put lights in the front headlight there, and also in the backup light on the tender. The only issue is obviously I'm going to have to run an extension between the tender and the loco for that rear backup light, but I'm not too bothered. And then of course I can always do extra bits such as firebox glow or something like that. So there's always stuff that can be done with these and improvements and that sort of thing. But a locomotive is one thing, but what is a locomotive without a train to pull? So in that sense, it would be very appropriate for me to go over to the second model, which is the branch line coaches or commuter coaches or whatever you like to call them. These are scaled to 65 feet for total body length, excluding the diaphragms obviously, and these come fitted with roller bearings. These are actually designed off, I think it's instruction sheet 405 or something from the L Gauge Wiki, and these are Osgood Bradley bogies, for those curious, and the coaches are based roughly off the Concours example, and these actually have two sorts of roof styles. So you have the original sort of clear story, or some pronounce it clerestory, but it's actually clear story because it's the story clear of the main roof. And that's actually the original sort of style. And you've also got a later, sort of more modern sort of steel skin, if you like, sort of roof, which is a lot smaller and that sort of stuff. For the standard coach, you have a toilet in here. This is a very small toilet. It's effectively 3 studs wide, or it comes in 3 studs to the main coach compartment. You've got a toilet, a little reservoir up there. You've got a toilet roll holder and 2 taps and a little sink. You've got a little luggage space out in, and this recess here is actually for the water supply for the taps. It's just something to pack out the body sort of interior, if you like. Now, the reason why there's a different colour to this coach on this side is this is actually the Reading Railroad colour. It comes in this sort of like 2-tone. So this is supposed to be regular green, and this is obviously your dark green. And it was actually partly a suggestion of Glenn, I think, that it should be regular green. I had a load of sand green on the demo model, but this is a sort of, if you like, regular green. And I don't know precise fitting in terms of passengers. It's a reasonable number per coach. Obviously, you won't have the full complement compared to a proper model or a real thing, because obviously you can only fit 2 people abreast and possibly one in the middle standing up. But nevertheless, these are quite good coaches, in my opinion. The Combine, which combines a passenger section and a luggage section, is a bit different in the sense that it doesn't have the toilet. The toilet is actually where part of the luggage section is. You've got the special doors on the side, which are actually 5 studs long, which took a bit of jiggery pokery to actually get in properly. There's a special partition here with a special window, and there's just a load of other little bits and pieces which are different compared to the standard coach model. This also has the sort of flatter, sort of skinned roof, which I'm kind of happy about how this has turned out. It's a really small space, and this is just trying to make the most use of the curved slopes to try and get that really nice smoothed look. It's not going to be perfect because it's Lego, but it's as good as can be. And speaking of roofs, there's actually a couple of modules here I'm going to talk about. This is your toilet section. It's actually a specific size just for the toilet section. It's got special detailing. So you've got some vent detail here. These are the standard sections, and obviously I've actually changed the physical brick design of this clear story roof module, which I'll go into on the real thing. Well, obviously these are, as a digital model, these are quite easily changeable and upgradable and that sort of stuff. And moving from the top of the car to the bottom of the car, there's actually full detail underframed for these as well. Obviously there's a few changes between them, obviously because you don't have the toilet requirements for the Combine. But you do have your waste tank or tank of some description, a release valve or maybe a filler valve. You've got a battery box over here, a brake release valve or cock or something of that description. You've got a brake cylinder tank here, a dynamo here which would run off your bogie here. There's also the brake cylinder. I'm going to flip this around here. It's actually a rather special design. It actually comes off from the underframe, and then you got this special clip here, which is just kind of an older design, and then you got the brick side thing. And then these will obviously have minifig arms and a bit of flex tube going off to the main central, if you like, spine of the car, and then those obviously actuate your brakes. The Combine car doesn't need the toilet section. In actual fact, a good portion of essentially that sort of waste tank is actually just gone. And in roughly where it would have been, it's actually to replace it if you like, is the steps up to the combine section. The bogies themselves, which we'll actually go over this side, as I mentioned previously, are modified designs off the L gauge wiki. These are not the final version. I've actually updated these to change the clip here to a droid arm, the small droid arm, just so that they're actually in line with the wheels a bit better, so you don't have this awkward sort of look to them. So there you have it, a Reading Camelback 460 and some coaches for it to pull. The coaches themselves, I'm hoping to do a total of 5, possibly 6 in total. You'll have the Reading rake, if you like, which will be 2 of the dark green. So the coaches I have on behind me on my desk, and there'll be one with the plain green band as well, and then I'll be doing 3 in a dark red colour, and those will have the more modern sort of 3-stud wide bit where it's a lot smoother. So this one, so it'll be nice to get some of these green ones out the way first, and then I can build a red one. The current plan is to finish the cars I've currently got built, and then possibly do a dark red standard one, then a dark red combine, and then I can just add on the extra coach cars as I need them, so I can just do it as and when. But the priority at the moment is getting those 2 done, because at least then I've got a train and I can add the express reefer in, and it just makes a nice sort of 3 coach train. Possibly not the most realistic, but at least it's a train, and it kind of looks okay to most people. So yeah, that's it. It's another model on the rather long and growing list of models I've yet to build or finish or actually do anything with. So yeah, that's it for this episode of Bricking It, and I'll see you in episode 11, because I actually have some progress on that one as well. So that's it for now, and see you later.